benchmarking, finding our blue dot. I think it's very interesting and compelling to look at how we perceive ourselves. So the initial industry benchmarking survey was us speaking to ourselves. The next speaker is going to focus on a different kind of industry benchmarking, one where we're looking constantly at our websites, and the feedback comes to us not from our own opinions about how effective our sites may be, but rather the opinions of a projectable sample of actual users that have visited. So with that, please, big hand and welcome for Duff Anderson from My Perceptions.
Hi everyone, my name is Duff Anderson. I'm the VP of Research at iPerceptions, and we're now going to take a look at the online channel from the visitor perspective. So what we'll be doing is taking a look at the hospitality industry and turning your traffic into customers, understanding who's on your website, what are they trying to do, what is their ability to complete their desired tasks, and how can I benchmark my experience against other hospitality websites. I think to start, I'm going to tell a little story about what type of information I'm going to be sharing. It's not a feedback button, it's not a panel, it's real visitors to real websites in the context of self-initiated situations. I live back in Montreal, and I live in row housing. It's a duplex, and downstairs I have a young family who have a 6-year-old son named Alex. They also have a beautiful dog, Daisy, a champion boxer, and they decided to have Daisy bred and have puppies. So about 3 months later, there was a bunch of commotion at the household. It was 5 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday, and sure enough, Daisy was having her puppies. And everyone gathered around, including, most importantly, little Alex, at 6 years old, got to witness for the first time life coming into this world. And it was a beautiful experience. And Daisy had one puppy, and 10 minutes later, she had a second puppy. And she had a third puppy. And about an hour later, she had had 4 puppies. And Alex's mother had to work. She ran off and called back home at around noon. And she asked to speak to Alex. And she said, "Alex, how many puppies did Daisy have?" And Alex said, "Mom, 9 puppies." And then she asked Alex, "How many are boys and how many are girls?" And he said, "I don't know, Mom. They haven't opened their eyes yet." On the web, people can speak for themselves. We're going to be looking at what you know for sure. The information is collected from continuous listening solutions to capture a representative sample of feedback from real website visitors immediately after their experience. We're going to be looking at results from more than 100 websites, including the brands that were just up there, representing over 100,000 respondents per quarter, and over 100 hospitality and tourism transactional sites. So let's look at first satisfaction. We start here with our customers, and we can see that there is a very stable metric for 2010, which is visitors' self-reported satisfaction with the site. This is based on a 0 to 100-point scale, and we can see that the industry average for satisfaction to a website visit is around 70, 71. There's a small decrease in Q2. I won't talk about that now, but I'll look now more at a tactical measure, which is a more promising stat, which is that hospitality sites are serving their visitors better. Self-reported task completion is going up, and we see an increase from 62% on average in the first quarter of 2010 to 68% in 2004. Interesting to see that satisfaction isn't moving along with it, and I think what we can take from that is that expectations are increasing along with people's ability to provide better and better experiences. The beauty of talking to your actual customers is you can analyze traffic not by clicks and page views and funnels, but by self-described intent. And we can see now that hospitality sites, transactional ones, are serving best through their online channels people who have already booked. So people on the site to view reservations, to make changes, report their task completion on average at 78% able to complete their tasks. Concerning for all of us is that people who self-describe the intention to make a booking during the current visit, only 65% on average visitors are able to complete their tasks. The online channels are serving people on the site to find hotel information slightly better at 69, and people who want to compare rates, and this is a very big subject in itself, are reporting on average that they're able to do it 66% of the time. If we look at visitors, let's start talking about them in the context of why they're there. We can see that online channels serve business travelers. People who are on the website in the context of a business booking are much better served with task completion rates on average being 77%. Leisure is a more challenging group, and their reported task completion rates are 68. If we look at different hospitality sectors, we can see that based on the type of visitors that are there, we saw that the business traveler was more successful, but also we know that business travelers make up a larger portion or the largest group of visitors on extended stay sites, and they make up the smallest group on economy sites, with luxury sites drawing traffic made up of about 33% business travelers. When we look at task completion, again, these things follow in a common sense way. The more business travelers, they were more successful, correlates to extended stay property websites having a higher task completion rate on average of 84%, where luxury having the biggest challenge at 68%. Interesting to note that over the last year, we see more and more of website traffic to luxury property websites are business travelers, reaching 33% by the end of 2010. And surely the loyalty membership program for website visitors is an essential part of the web experience, and we can see that this trend, whether you're a leisure or business traveler, is increasing. More and more of your website traffic is made up of people who belong to your membership programs, making them critical in your online strategies. Earlier, Terry mentioned the need to create your own margins. In the hospitality sector, price still is the main barrier reported by visitors who are on your site to make a booking, why they fail. 21% of the time, it is what visitors indicated prevented them from making their booking. It changes by what sector you're working in, but you need to find out how to bring value to your online visitor. They are shoppers. They need a perceived sense of value, and it is a trigger for increasing conversion. We can see that, where's the traffic coming from your website? If you ask engaged visitors, 29% of them are coming through search engine result, 26 are actually typing in the URL directly or using another 16% using bookmarks. And I know there's a lot of interest around social media and we need to address it, but right now your most engaged visitors, it only represents 1% of the traffic driven to your websites. So those are some high-level comparisons based on over 1,000 websites. I'm gonna now talk about how do I understand the online experience in a little more detail and how do I benchmark it. We're now using a smaller subset of websites. These are all major hospitality brands with a minimum of 1 million unique visitors per month. And I'm going to use a framework and language to give you some benchmarks on understanding your online experience. I'm going to look at time and orientation. So when I'm looking at the immediate front end of the experience, so what the visitor sees on their screen, I'm going to call that navigation. And we're going to look at measuring whether or not visitors can find what they're looking for. When we look at the immediate experience in related to the back end, we're going to call that content. Long-term, so repeat visits and a long-term relationship with the brand and with the website, we're going to call interactivity, so long-term usefulness. And finally, long-term desirability, you might call it your brand value, I'm going to call it motivation. And we'll look at how the hospitality industry scores the online experience, what are the strengths and weaknesses that you need to compare yourself against, understanding that these elements of the experience drive overall satisfaction as well as return and referral of your brand and your website. In the hospitality sector, we've been able to get our clients to agree to use 2 key drivers in each of the areas I just pointed out to you. Individually, clients measure more attributes. And what we'll be looking at today is the industry comparisons within navigation of discovery. So each of these labels is just a question. So ease of use, easy to navigate the website. In content, we'll look at breadth and relevancy of information. In interactivity, we're going to look at whether or not the site allows visitors to interact with your organization and contact the right people, whether it's responsive to their particular needs. In motivation, we'll look at bottom line and convenience. And for outcomes, we're going to look at starting point and return. What we see for the hospitality industry is that the strengths of the online experience relate to relevancy of content, ease of use of navigation, and people's likelihood to return to the site. You need to score high in these areas. They are generally well done in the hospitality sector. The challenge for everybody in the area, as far as what's rated weakest by site visitors, is bottom line, their perceived ability to save money, whether you're actually responsive to their particular needs. This is where we need to break the box and come up with solutions that are bringing value to specific users. Starting point is obviously a challenge. And what I'll show next is how does your website fit within the experience spectrum for hospitality. Now, this is not a trend. It's not a great graph, but I have a lot of information I'm trying to show here. Does the laser work? No, yeah, maybe. What I'm showing here is quartile lines, and basically those same attributes that I was just scoring for you from relevancy to bottom line. What we see here is that people in the top 25 or properties in the top 25% of online are scoring within their experience a minimum of 7.5 in the attributes that are strongest in the industry and higher than 7 even in the weaker ones. What we want to be concerned about is if we're falling somewhere below this line here, which means you're in the last 25%, or heaven forbid you're the lowest ever, which means your experience ratings are falling, as low as 6 out of 10. The scale I just showed you is based on a 0 to 10 point rating. So that's nice, but strengths and weaknesses are inherent to businesses and sectors and challenges. Everyone faces the same strengths and weaknesses as far as a group challenge. What's also nice to know is from the visitor perspective, when you look at how they rate these different elements of the experience, and we do regression modeling on it, we find that there are 4 attributes that together best describe the visitor satisfaction, return, and referral, which are whether or not your site is responsive to their particular needs, the ease of use, discovery, and relevancy of content. So we got the internal perspective. We need to map it against your customer's perspective. If you'd like to understand more how you can compare your website, iPerceptions has a workshop after this about how this can be done. We have solutions that are free up to full enterprise continuous listening solutions, and we're here and very interested with sitting with anybody who'd like to know more about how their organization can compare themselves to the voice of their customers. Thank you very much.